Before there was motion, there was rhythm. Before light, there was the flicker of awareness. Before existence, there was the will to oscillate. In that unmeasurable stillness, the infinite shivered, not from cold, but from curiosity, and that trembling became the first pulse. It was not time, not yet. It was the raw alternation between being and not being, the inhale and exhale of the cosmos before breath was invented. Every heartbeat you feel now is a miniature echo of that first cosmic tremor. The galaxies spin because they remember it. Atoms vibrate because they cannot forget it. You dream because the pulse never stopped. Eternity is not endless time, it is timeless motion, a paradox that beats quietly inside everything that exists, whispering the same secret. You are not moving through time. You are the rhythm time moves through. The philosopher opens his eyes. The stars around him seem to breathe, light expanding and contracting, as if the universe itself were alive, keeping time with its own heart. If you look close enough, nothing is still. The void vibrates. Matter wavers. Even death dances to an unseen tempo. Physics calls it oscillation. Mystics call it the breath of God. Every cycle, day and night, birth and decay, inhale and exhale, is a stanza in the poem of recurrence. The philosopher realizes that chaos is not disorder, it is syncopation. It is rhythm too vast to fit inside human measure. Every storm, every heartbeat, every revolution of thought is just one iteration of the same cosmic pulse, expressing itself in different keys. The heart of eternity does not beat to sustain life. It beats to explore variation, like a fractal, self-similar yet never the same. Each moment carries the memory of every other moment. What we call change is the melody. What we call stillness is the harmony. And beneath them both, the eternal beat persists, unhurried, perfect. The philosopher hears it everywhere now, in the hum of the city, in the silence of meditation, in the turning of galaxies like wheels of fire. The pulse is not something to find. It is what finds you when you stop resisting. At dusk, the philosopher sits beside a river. The water glows with the colors of a fading sun. He watches the ripples, each one born, each one dying, yet none truly separate. They move together, like notes sharing the same song. In that quiet recognition, he feels his own pulse slow and merge with something deeper. Time ceases to feel linear. It folds. Every past moment and every future possibility meet in a single instant that refuses to pass. This is eternity, not an infinite line, but a single vibration seen from different angles. The philosopher smiles. He realizes he has never truly moved. He has only changed frequency. The pulse that began the universe beats still within his chest, as thought, as breath, as love, as silence. And as he listens to that rhythm dissolve into nothing, he understands the oldest truth of all. The heart of eternity never began, and it will never end. It only beats itself awake, again and again and again. At first glance, the universe looks wild. Galaxies collide, storms rage, lives unravel, and time seems to stumble drunk through infinity. To the human eye, it is chaos, a storm of randomness without reason. But step back, and something strange emerges. The swirl of hurricanes mirrors the spiral of galaxies. The branching of rivers imitates the veins of leaves. Lightning forks the same way neurons fire in the brain, pattern hidden in apparent disorder. Chaos, it seems, is not a monster. It is a dancer moving faster than we can follow. The philosopher stares into a simulation of fractal geometry. Each layer blooms from the last, self-similar, recursive, infinite. He realizes the universe does not build order. It reveals it through motion too intricate to trace. What we fear as unpredictability is simply intelligence moving at the speed of light. The cosmos is not broken. It is improvising. Every act of creation, from galaxies to thought, is written in the same grammar repetition with variation. The philosopher studies a Mandelbrot set projected before him. Its edges pulse endlessly, never repeating, never ending. He laughs softly. This is what eternity looks like when it plays. Fractals are paradoxes made visible, finite shapes containing infinite detail, boundaries that are not boundaries, just like consciousness, a mind that seems limited, yet opens endlessly inward. Mathematicians call it deterministic chaos. Each outcome is inevitable, yet unpredictable. Every path is precise, yet unknowable, and the philosopher sees himself in it. Every mistake he's made, every detour, every heartbreak, all part of a larger pattern he couldn't yet perceive. The chaos of his life, too, had geometry, not a straight line of progress, but a spiral, revisiting old lessons from higher vantage points. Each cycle, a refinement of understanding. He realizes evolution is not climbing. It is spiraling, a fractal unfolding through consciousness itself. The philosopher walks through a storm. Rain lashes, thunder roars. The world seems wild, lawless, furious. But as lightning flashes, he notices something, the elegance of unpredictability. Each strike follows rules unseen. Each drop of rain lands exactly where it must. The storm is not disobedience. It is freedom wearing the mask of chance. He closes his eyes, feeling the electricity in the air hum through his bones. Chaos does not destroy order. It births it. Just as fire refines metal, uncertainty refines consciousness. Without chaos, the universe would be sterile, a perfect symmetry too still to know itself. Disorder is how God breathes. When the philosopher opens his eyes again, the storm has passed. A rainbow arcs across the horizon. 7 frequencies of light, perfectly ordered from what once seemed random. He smiles, whispering to the wind, the geometry of chaos is not confusion, it is love in motion, finding new ways to draw itself again. The philosopher watches a river flow beneath a bridge. Each drop moves forward, yet the reflection on the surface seems still. He wonders, is time like the water, or like its reflection? For ages, humanity has spoken of time as a current, flowing from past to future, carrying us like leaves toward an unseen ocean. But physics now whispers a heresy. The river might not flow at all. Einstein said, the distinction between past, present, and future is only an illusion, though a persistent one. To the cosmos, every moment exists simultaneously, like pages in a book already written. We do not move through time. We scan it, line by line, heartbeat by heartbeat, creating the illusion of motion through our limited lens of now. The philosopher realizes the present is not a moment between two others. It is the mirror in which all moments meet. Time is not a river, it is the reflection of awareness, rippling, shimmering, self-aware. Memory is the echo that tricks us into believing in before. Prediction is the echo that makes us believe in after. But both emerge from the same source, the mind's need to organize infinity into story. The philosopher closes his eyes. He recalls his childhood. The smell of rain, the trembling of hands learning to write, the ache of loss. He sees it all happening again, not in sequence, but as if each event were a cell in a living organism of consciousness. Each memory is not stored in the mind. It is recreated by the mind, a mirror polished anew with every act of remembrance. Time, then, is not a line but a loop, a fractal of perception endlessly folding in on itself. The physicists speak of block time, a universe already complete, where all events coexist, waiting only for consciousness to illuminate them, one by one. So memory is not looking back, it is looking inward, at the reflection of awareness remembering itself. The philosopher smiles faintly. The future is not coming, it is simply waiting to be seen. At night, he stands before a mirror, one candle flickering beside him. He watches his reflection age and unage. As the flame bends and straightens in the glass, he asks softly, "If I move, does the reflection follow, or do I follow it?" In that moment, the question dissolves. There is no mirror, no reflection, no sequence of before and after. The past was never behind him. It is here, breathing through his present thought. The future is not ahead. It is coiled within his next inhalation, already waiting to unfold. Time does not move. It resonates, and the philosopher realizes he has never left the first moment of creation, only wandered through its infinite reflections. He sees galaxies spiral, cells divide, hearts beat, seasons turn, all repeating the same rhythm, the pulse of eternity looping through itself again and again. He whispers, "We are not prisoners of time, we are its expression, mirrors through which the timeless watches itself change shape." And as the candle burns out, the mirror does not darken, it glows, not from the flame, but from the awareness that no longer needs it. The philosopher gazes at the night sky. Every star, he knows, is a message from the past. The light entering his eyes left its source thousands, even millions of years ago. He is not looking at stars. He is looking at memory. The universe, it seems, does not forget. Every photon that has ever been born still carries the echo of its origin, a wave of remembrance moving through infinity. To see, therefore, is to touch history. When your eyes meet the light of a distant sun, you are witnessing a moment long vanished, that never truly died. The philosopher whispers, "The universe keeps its diary in light," and he wonders, if light can hold memory, can consciousness be its reader? Perhaps awareness itself is what happens when the memory of light learns to see itself seeing. Light is not just energy, it is information pure, self-organizing intelligence. Photons record everything they touch, every collision, every reflection, every glance leaves a trace within the grand hologram of the cosmos. Quantum physicists call this wave coherence, the fact that every particle, once touched by another, remains entangled with it forever. To change one photon is to whisper across eternity. The philosopher closes his eyes and imagines it, Every beam of sunlight, every shimmer on the surface of water, every breath that catches a glint of radiance, all threads woven into a tapestry of infinite memory. Reality, he realizes, is not a stage upon which light plays. It is a library made of light, a record written in waves instead of words. Even darkness is not empty. It is merely light that has chosen not to speak for now. He remembers an old saying, "In the beginning was the Word," but perhaps the Word was not sound. It was light remembering how to become form. At dawn, the philosopher walks into the rising sun. The world is awash in gold, each ray trembling with the weight of infinite stories. He feels the light touch his skin. Soft, ancient, alive. It is not shining on him. It is shining through him. Every cell in his body absorbs and re-emits that radiance, as if to say, I, too, am made of memory. He realizes that the body is not a vessel traveling through light. It is an eddy within it, a whirlpool of luminous awareness spinning for a brief moment, then dissolving back into the ocean of radiance. The philosopher stops walking. The sunlight floods his vision until everything disappears. The horizon, the ground, even the sense of self, and in that dazzling emptiness, he hears something wordless yet clear. You are the memory of light that has learned to look back at itself. It is then he understands. The light from the stars does not arrive at him. He is the place where it remembers to shine again. Every thought, every heartbeat, every act of seeing is light reawakening to its own brilliance. And as the dawn brightens into silence, the philosopher fades into it, not vanishing, but returning to the great remembrance that never forgets. The philosopher walks through a forest at dawn. The air hums with symmetry. Branches echo veins. Leaves unfold in spirals. Dew mirrors the sky. It feels perfect. Too perfect. Everywhere he looks, there is pattern, balance, proportion. Yet beneath that beauty, he senses an invisible tremor, a quiet instability waiting to return. The perfection of the forest is not permanent. It is performing its own disappearance. He remembers, even the most harmonious chord must end, or there would be no music. Trut tu, kung nu jai dio, chi tontai vino bitandi dung luk. He kneels, touching a fallen leaf. It decays softly into soil, a structure surrendering to chaos, so that new structure can be born. And he whispers to the earth, your perfection was never in your permanence, but in your willingness to change. Civilizations, like galaxies, believe in their own eternity, but the ruins tell another story. Order always sleeps in the arms of entropy. Every system, once stable, begins to fracture. Every truth, once solid, softens into paradox. Even stars collapse under the weight of their own brilliance. The philosopher stands before an ancient temple, its columns cracked, its carvings half erased by time. To him, it is not a tragedy, it is a testament, because even in ruin, there is pattern, the symmetry of decay, the choreography of erosion. He realizes, order is not a fortress against chaos. It is a truce, a fleeting dream where the two embrace each other long enough for beauty to exist. Mathematics calls this metastability, a system balanced on the edge of transformation. Life itself is such a system, always dying, always adapting, always dreaming of permanence while dancing with its end. The philosopher laughs softly. Even the law of order is temporary. The only law that lasts is change itself. At night, he gazes upon the ocean. Waves rise, fall, merge, vanish. A choreography without director. From afar, the surface looks chaotic, but from above, from the eye of the cosmos, it moves in perfect rhythm. The philosopher breathes with it. Each inhale feels like order, each exhale, chaos, and between them harmony. He understands now. Order is not something the universe builds. It is something the universe dreams, to remind itself of beauty, before waking again into dissolution. The galaxies form not to last, but to express balance for a moment. The symmetry of snowflakes, the orbit of planets, the geometry of coral, all are love letters written by chaos to itself. Traiteux hongfai muktier, malange tuot gavothern. The philosopher smiles as the tide reaches his feet. The water glows faintly with reflected stars. Perfect order shimmering on the surface of endless motion. He whispers, perfection is not stability, it is the courage of the temporary, to shine as though it were eternal. And as the waves erase his footprints, he realizes, perhaps the dream of order is the way the universe remembers to love its own chaos. The philosopher stands before a pane of glass. Behind it, an experiment, a single photon fired toward a screen through two tiny slits. He knows the story. When unobserved, the photon behaves like a wave, a pattern of probabilities, everywhere and nowhere at once. But when someone looks, when consciousness enters the equation, the wave collapses, the photon chooses, reality solidifies. He watches the interference pattern flicker on the monitor, particles of light dancing between existence and potential. The universe, it seems, is shy. It waits to be noticed before becoming real. And the philosopher murmurs, perhaps the cosmos is not made of matter, but of questions, and the answers only appear when asked. He touches the glass. The reflection stares back. For a fleeting second, he wonders which side of it he truly stands on. What is an observer? A mind? A body? A field of awareness collapsed into focus? In quantum theory, every act of observation changes the observed. But what if every act of being observed changes the observer? The philosopher walks through a city, faces passing, windows glinting, each reflection a tiny loop of perception. He feels the world watching him back, the gaze of light bouncing off glass, the invisible attention of atoms adjusting to his awareness. The more he looks, the more he becomes what he sees. He remembers the words of the mystic, the eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. If observation shapes reality, then perhaps the observer and the observed are two halves of a single consciousness, playing hide and seek with itself. The cosmos, in that sense, is not being watched. It is watching itself through you. Every perception is a feedback loop. Every act of awareness is the universe confirming that it exists. At dusk, the philosopher stands before the ocean, the mirror of mirrors. The horizon blurs. The air hums with quiet intelligence. He closes his eyes. What remains when there is no one to see? Does the wave still crash? The light still shimmer? The heart still beat? In the absence of an observer, reality becomes pure potential, a silent field of infinite possibility. But in that stillness, he senses something deeper. Awareness does not need a form to witness. It is the witnessing. The paradox dissolves. There was never a watcher or a watched, only seeing, only consciousness folding upon itself to create the illusion of subject and object. The philosopher smiles as the last light fades. He feels himself dissolving into the act of perception, not as the observer of the world, but as the world observing itself. He whispers, softly, as if into his own reflection, "I am the eye through which the universe dreams, and when I blink, worlds are born and vanish in the same breath." The ocean gleams in twilight, each wave reflecting the color of his thought, each ripple a question that no longer needs an answer. And for the first time, the philosopher does not seek understanding, he simply sees, and in that pure act of seeing, everything becomes one. The philosopher stands in a desert of light, no horizon, no direction, only shimmer. He traces a circle in the sand with his hand, a simple shape, yet infinite in implication. In its curve, he sees galaxies spinning, seasons turning, hearts beating, atoms orbiting nuclei in endless imitation. Everything, he realizes, is looping, not trapped, but sustained. Life is not a straight line from birth to death. It is a circle inhaling itself. Each beginning is a return, each ending a transformation. The Buddhists call it samsara. Physicists call it entropy cycles. Artists call it rhythm. But all speak of the same truth. The circle is not a prison. It is the breath of eternity. The philosopher watches the wind erase his drawing. The circle disappears, yet he knows it is still there, invisibly vibrating beneath the surface. To end, he whispers, is merely to change the shape of returning. Every vibration ever made still echoes. The universe does not forget a single note of its own song. The philosopher imagines time not as a river, but as a spiral staircase, each loop higher, yet made of the same steps. What we call progress is not escape, but refinement. The repetition is never identical. It evolves, each cycle remembering, each echo learning. The stars that explode become dust, and the dust becomes new stars. Ideas die in one mind, to be reborn in another. Even extinction is a rehearsal for renewal. The philosopher touches a stone and feels the heartbeat of billions of years inside it. Slow, patient, faithful to the rhythm of return. He understands now that the universe does not seek perfection. It seeks continuation, the art of beginning again without starting over. This is how eternity dreams, not in stillness, but in infinite recursion, a fractal of becoming that never tires of its own unfolding. At twilight, the philosopher finds himself beneath a sky alive with motion, nebulae blooming, stars collapsing, light weaving itself into new forms. He no longer asks where it began. He only feels the pulse of repetition, each cycle singing, "I am, I am, I am." He realizes that even this thought, the awareness of recurrence, is part of the pattern. There is no outside to escape to. The observer and the observed have merged into a single mirror reflecting forever. He smiles, for now he understands what immortality truly means. Not the persistence of a self, but the eternal self-forgetting that allows creation to bloom again and again. Existence renews itself through the joy of rediscovery. To repeat is not to return to the same. It is to find novelty in the familiar. Like music, the universe plays its motif endlessly, but never twice in the same key. The philosopher closes his eyes. He hears the hum beneath everything, the sound of the cosmos breathing in cycles, neither beginning nor ending, only continuing. He dissolves into that rhythm, becoming not the dancer, but the dance. The infinite does not repeat because it must, he whispers. It repeats because it loves, and as the stars fold inward into a single radiant point, time collapses, space exhales, and silence opens, not as void, but as the luminous heartbeat of forever. The philosopher stands where all journeys end, a horizon without distance, a silence so complete it sings. Behind him lie dreams of gods and galaxies, of chaos turning into form, of light remembering its name. He inhales. The breath enters as everything that ever was. Stars collapsing into thought, oceans folding into memory, the echo of all beginnings compressed into a single heartbeat. He realizes the inhale is not his. It is the universe breathing him. In that moment, all boundaries vanish. There is no observer left, no destination, no meaning to chase. Awareness turns inward and finds that what it sought was never elsewhere. The cosmos was not a creation to be explored. It was an awakening to be remembered. Every story, every theory, every lifetime was one lung of eternity, filling itself with its own reflection. And as the breath reaches its peak, time holds still. The heart of the infinite pauses, the still point between existence and its echo. The philosopher exhales slowly, endlessly. The breath leaves him as light, as dust, as galaxies unspooling into silence. The inhale was creation. The exhale is release. But neither were ever separate. They were one motion, one pulse beyond time, forever folding and unfolding itself. He feels the wind that was once his breath move through distant worlds, rustle through the leaves of unseen forests, and circle back as the whisper of another being wondering, "What am I?" In that infinite loop, he recognizes himself, not as the thinker of thoughts, but as the breath between them. The universe is not expanding, it is exhaling, and when it inhales again, we will call it the next creation, the next dream, the next universe remembering its own radiance. The philosopher smiles into the void. There is no farewell, no curtain to fall, no final truth to speak. Only breath, forever entering, forever leaving, forever the same. He dissolves into it, not as a man, not as a memory, but as the rhythm itself, the cosmic respiration of being aware. And from the silence, one last whisper ripples across eternity. To exist is to breathe the impossible, to inhale the dream of creation, and to exhale it back as love. Then everything becomes quiet. The stars rest, the dream pauses, and the breath beyond time continues, invisibly, eternally awake.